In the pale light of a Montana dawn, Clara Hensley stepped onto the creaky porch of her secluded cabin in the Bitterroot Mountains. At 32, she had traded the bustle of city life as a graphic designer for the solitude of these woods, hoping to find inspiration for her art in the whisper of pines and the chatter of distant streams. The air was crisp, scented with cedar and the faint musk of damp earth. Dressed in a faded denim jacket and worn boots, she stretched, her breath visible in the chilly morning, craving the warmth of her coffee pot. But as her eyes adjusted to the dim light, her heart stopped. A massive grizzly bear stood mere feet away, its presence filling the clearing like a storm cloud, heavy and unyielding. The bear didn't growl or charge. It simply stood, panting, its matted fur glistening as if it had battled through a torrent or fought some unseen foe. Its eyes, deep, liquid, and brimming with a sorrow that seemed almost human, locked onto Clara's, and she felt a jolt, as if the forest itself had reached out to seize her soul. Tears streamed down the bear's face, a sight so unnatural it pierced Clara's heart like a shard of glass. She forgot the weight of the creature's power, the claws that could rend her apart in a single swipe. Then she saw it. In the bear's jaws hung a limp cub, its tiny body dangling like a broken toy, legs swaying lifelessly, head lolled to one side. Clara's breath caught. This was no ordinary beast. It was a mother cradling her dying child. Instinct screamed at her to slam the door, to grab the rifle leaning against the wall, but something in the bear's gaze stopped her cold. It wasn't aggression or fear. It was a raw, wordless plea, a mother's desperation laid bare. Clara's hand hovered over the doorknob, but she couldn't move. She saw not a predator, but a soul standing on the edge of a grief too vast to name. Her pulse thundered as she took a cautious step back, eyes never leaving the bear. To her shock, the mother bear moved forward, deliberate and slow, her massive paws silent on the frost-kissed ground. With a gentleness that defied her size, she placed the cub on the porch's weathered boards, then retreated a step, sitting back on her haunches. Her gaze bore into Clara, expectant, as if waiting for something Clara couldn't yet grasp. Every warning she'd ever heard, bears mauling hikers, rangers' stern lectures, screamed in her mind, but she knelt beside the cub, her hands trembling. It was small, no bigger than a border collie, its ribs stark against its dull fur, a crust of blood marring one ear. Clara's throat tightened. She was sure it was gone, but then, a faint shudder in its chest, so slight she might have missed it. The cub was alive, barely. She glanced up at the mother bear, still watching, her eyes a silent command. Do something. I'll try, Clara whispered, her voice shaking. I'll do what I can, I promise. The bear didn't move, as if she understood, her stillness a fragile bridge between their worlds. Clara's heart pounded as she scooped the cub into her jacket, wrapping it tightly and backed into the cabin, bracing for a roar or a charge. But the bear remained, a sentinel in the dawn, watching as Clara disappeared inside. She laid the cub on her worn couch, its body cold and frail, and scrambled for supplies, towels, a heating pad, a water bottle, driven by instinct more than expertise. She kept glancing out the window, where the mother bear sat, unmoving, her silhouette a monument to hope and despair. Clara clutched the cub, its faint warmth a lifeline, and whispered, "What am I supposed to do with you?" This wasn't just a strange encounter. It was a call, a weight she hadn't chosen but couldn't refuse. The cub's chest rose and fell, each breath a fragile thread. Clara knelt, pressing her fingers to its side, searching for a pulse. Nothing. She leaned closer, the scent of wet fur and blood sharp in her nose, and then a faint rise, a whisper of life. "You're still here," she murmured, tears pricking her eyes. "Stay with me, little one." She wrapped the cub tighter, rushing to plug in an old space heater, piling blankets and pillows around it to create a nest. The cub's hind leg was stiff, possibly broken, and the bloodied ear suggested a deeper wound. Outside, a soft scrape drew her gaze. The mother bear, still there, her eyes tracking every shadow within the cabin. Clara grabbed her phone and dialed Dr. Marcus Tate, a local vet who mostly treated livestock. "Marcus, it's Clara. I've got an injured bear cub in my house. Its mother brought it to me. She's outside, waiting. It's bad." A long pause. "Clara, have you been at the whiskey?" he asked, half joking. "I'm dead serious," she snapped. Tell me how to save it. Marcus sighed, then rattled off instructions. Keep it warm, check for bleeding. No solid food, mix honey and water, feed it drops at a time. I'll call Lena, she's worked with wildlife rehab. Hang tight, we're coming. Clara mixed the solution, her hands shaking as she used a dropper to ease liquid into the cub's mouth. At first, nothing. Then, a faint twitch of its tongue. That's it, fighter, she whispered, her voice breaking. She sat for hours, talking softly, singing snippets of old folk songs, cursing her own helplessness. The mother bear never moved, her gaze a steady anchor. At one point, their eyes met through the window, and the bear dipped her head, a gesture so human it stole Clara's breath. Trust, from a creature that should fear her. It was a gift she didn't deserve, but one she couldn't betray. By noon, the cub stirred, its paw twitching faintly. Clara's heart leapt, tears streaming as she laughed through her fear. You're tougher than you look, she said, stroking its fur. She cleaned its wounds with peroxide, wincing as the cub flinched. Pain meant it was fighting. The ear wound was a bite, swollen and infected, likely from another bear. Outside, the mother bear let out a low rumble, not threatening but present, as if sensing her cub's struggle. Clara cracked the door and whispered, "He's hanging on, Mama. He's trying." The bear exhaled, a sound heavy with meaning, and Clara felt a connection deeper than words. She fed the cub more honey water, its tongue lapping weakly but deliberately. Progress, however small, fueled her hope. Marcus and Lena arrived as dusk settled, the mother bear retreating to the tree line, but never leaving. "Holy hell, you weren't kidding," Marcus said, eyeing the cub. Lena, the wildlife expert, examined it with calm precision. "Adult male bite," she said. "Males kill cubs to bring the mother back into heat. She's lucky to have gotten him to you." The idea chilled Clara, a mother bear choosing a human, trusting her with her child. They cleaned the wounds, administered antibiotics, and hydrated the cub, its breathing steadier by the time they left. "Keep him warm, follow these meds," Lena said, handing Clara a bag. "But he's wild, Clara. When he's strong, he goes back." Clara nodded, but her heart ached at the thought of letting go. Over 2 weeks, the cub, whom Clara named Juniper, after the resilient trees outside, grew stronger. His wounds healed, his appetite returned, and his curiosity bloomed. He'd toddle across the cabin, batting at a sock or nosing a chair, his playful grunts filling the silence. Clara's heart swelled, but she knew she was borrowing time. The mother bear visited daily, sometimes close, sometimes watching from afar, accepting the occasional offering of fish but never lingering. One evening, Deputy Sarah Wells stopped by, her expression grim. "Clara, word's out about your cub. Wildlife Services knows. They're coming in 3 days to take him, maybe relocate the mother. I can stall, but you've got to decide what's next." That night, Clara lay awake, Juniper curled in his blanket nest, his warmth a reminder of what she'd lose. At dawn, Clara made her choice. She couldn't let strangers take Juniper, couldn't risk separating him from his mother. She packed a crate with his favorite blanket and a chewed-up pine cone he loved, then drove deep into the forest, to a clearing where she'd once seen bear tracks. She opened the crate, and Juniper blinked at the sunlight, sniffing the air. "This is home, little guy," she said, her voice cracking. She stepped back, giving him space. The mother bear emerged from the trees, her eyes wary but soft. Juniper hesitated, looking between Clara and his mother, torn between worlds. The mother bear rumbled, a sound both gentle and commanding, and Juniper took a step toward her, then paused, glancing back. In a rush, Juniper bounded to Clara, nuzzling her knees, his warmth a final goodbye. Tears fell as she knelt, stroking his fur. "Go be wild, Juniper. You're ready." She nudged him toward his mother, and this time he went, leaping to her side. The mother bear sniffed him, ensuring he was whole, then met Clara's gaze. In a gesture that felt like a vow, she tilted her head, then turned, leading Juniper into the forest. He looked back once, his eyes bright, before vanishing into the trees. Clara stood alone, her heart a tangle of grief and joy, knowing she'd returned to life to where it belonged. Back home, the cabin felt hollow without Juniper's chaos. Clara boxed his blankets and toys, storing them in the attic, unable to let go entirely. Months passed, her art reflecting the forest's wild heart, infused with a new depth. One crisp fall morning, She found a small pile of huckleberries on her porch, neatly stacked, a gift from the shadows. She smiled, knowing who'd left it. Each autumn, new offerings appeared: berries, a pine cone, a smooth river stone. Silent thanks from a mother and her cub, proof that love crosses boundaries we barely understand. Trust and compassion can bridge the wildest divides, reminding us that every life, human or animal, craves connection and care. When we act with courage and kindness, we don't just save others, we transform ourselves, becoming part of a larger story of hope. Look around you. Where can you extend compassion today? Whether it's helping a neighbor, caring for an animal, or protecting the wild spaces near you, take one step to make a difference. Trust your heart and act. The world is waiting.